Hey, welcome to Spitter Swallow Beer Review. I am Jammer.
I am Jammer fan, ready to just talk about beers and like do what your channel does best, man, which is give some of the best beer reviews around.
I appreciate that, Jammer fan. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and open up my Wicked Wee Brewing's Pernicious Indian Pale Ale and give it a drink while we discuss the topics of the world. How's that? Oh, I
Cool.
spilled
That
some.
sounds whoa. But you know
Damn.
what? It gives you a little luckily Ronald the Riot, aka Ronald Terrio. He's done this beer before. He calls it the natural father. Most of us call it the natty daddy, and it has
Oh,
way
yeah.
bigger of a dick than Shag Dog's what he do, Bud Ice. Look, this is hold on, 8%. Hold on.
Yeah.
8% and 25 ounces. Ronald the Riot calls it the natural father.
Well, I
And
got this, and it is, what did I say it was? Did I tell you?
no, I don't
It's
think that.
7.3. I'm sorry. Go ahead,
All
Jammer
right.
fan.
Well
7.3
what
ABV.
we'll present it one more time. What's the brewer in the beer again?
Wicked Weed Brewing Pernicious Indian Pale Ale.
Wicked Weed. Okay. I've never had them, but I like the name.
I'm
And
sorry, you don't
it
see it,
isn't
do you? Yeah. It says right
it's a
here
little
this
hard
hop
no.
delivery vehicle is crafted to be enjoyed fresh and often. Hand selected New Zealand, Australian, and American hops set this beer apart from the others.
Oh,
Its
man. That sounds really
drinkability and
good.
clean finish will lead you to never look at IPAs the same way again.
Jammer, I won't lie, that sounds really good. It sounds like you really got a good beer. I'm really happy for you. And I have a shitty beer, so I wanna like, well, a kind of shitty beer. We'll talk about it. But I wanna like just tell me about remember earlier I was telling you about all that fucking sourdough and pine and you were like, yeah, you have to fucking help me now, dude. I had that fucking IPL earlier. Now I'm relegated to the fucking dregs, dude. You gotta hit me up with the fucking
Well,
descriptions. You gotta hit with the description, Jammer, to be like, tell me what's your nose, what's your eyes, what's your feel, what the fuck's going on.
Well, the great thing about this is it got a kind of slight dankness to it. It's got a nice piney grapefruit flavor.
Okay,
It's in
pine
general.
grapefruit. Yeah,
Let me go ahead and take another sip.
yeah, you're doing it, dude. You're going to fucking town, man.
Well, I will say it's very easy to drink. It's more of floral hops, not really yeasty in any way, kind of way, but it's got a floral hopness to it, a maltiness, a slight sweetness, kind of gets in there. It's
Uh,
no shit. What would I say? Um, it's kind of medium bodied, medium flavor,
oh
kind of
man.
watery. It's got a nice piney, but
So
it's very
can
smooth
I?
and easy to drink.
I think your review is great, dude. Can I interject in 1 second? I just have a question. What do they rate? I mean, what style does Beer Advocate or whatever? Is this a hazy IPA? Is it a hazy pale? What are they doing? What is this called?
I don't know. Let me look it up real quick.
Because what's the ABV? Sorry, I just want to get the stats because I'm like, is this like a
Seven
hazy
point
double IPA?
three. 7.3.
So this and it
And it's
seems
considered American IPA.
so that usually means more towards the West Coast. Is it not a? It looks hazy from here, but doesn't look like a milkshake. What would you say? What's going on with this beer, man? I'm wondering, is it more towards? Is it like more towards a West Coast IPA where it's just caramel, dough, pine, trees, grass, or does it have like that big tropical hit where it tastes like all kinds of pineapple and mango and
It's more of the West Coast
orange?
because it doesn't have the tropical
It's
hit.
more the oh, it's more of the West Coast. Okay. and that's not a
It's
bad
more
thing,
West
right?
Coast. It's pretty smooth, easy to drink. It's got a slight piney dankness to it.
All right.
Maybe at the faintest a little grapefruit. But
Okay.
overall, it's pretty
No.
smooth and easy to drink. It's not. It's on. I would say that it's pretty close to Tampa Bay. What is it? Brewing the
Yeah.
highlight. Highlight. I don't know if you ever tried that one.
Dude,
The
I've had a bunch of
Cigar
Tampa.
City's a highlight. You know.
Dude, I've had a ton of Cigar City brews because I would tell you I have some context kind of in the area, and some of those beers filter down south, especially on the Gulf side, the more affluent side. So
Yeah.
I've seen those beers in like restaurants down there, and you're like, oh cool, like I don't think you'd see it as much. Like, I think Miami is a more competitive town for probably for
Yeah.
craft beer because you have, but I could see like Cigar City, their stuff kind of filtering down the Gulf Coast a little bit. You know what I mean? Am I crazy saying
Yeah.
that? Like it's like kind of a more craft kind of like they can sell a keg for a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy in thinking
No,
that.
no, you're fine. Yeah, it's more on the craft side. It's got the slight
So they have something like a
bitter,
cracker wheat.
watery.
It's like a white. Have you had like their
Yeah,
cracker wheat? It's like
look at
something.
that. It's very yellow, hazy, actually cloudy,
Yeah, yeah,
yellow, and a very white head. You know,
man, man. But
but it's
I
pretty
just want to take
smooth and
this.
easy to drink. Yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
that's what's really funny about it. Very easy to drink, very smooth, very delicious in the sense of the floral hops of like pininess and grapefruit
Yeah.
flavors and everything.
Oh
But
man.
overall, it's very easy to drink, almost a dry finish, but it's got that frothy. You know what I'm talking about? The
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's
mouthfeel. I can't. What is the word I'm looking for there, Jammer fan?
So I don't think it's actually there's a particular word for it. I think what you're getting is that like the fucking terpenes kind of cling to your palate, and like
Yeah.
I would say it's like if anything you're talking about a a mouth coating medium mouth feel, kind of like I don't know, like it's there's not really a, I mean, maybe umami. People
Yeah.
talk about there's a savoriness, like it kind of
Hmm.
coats the palate because, like, some IPAs, when you get into the pine and the fucking that kind
Exactly,
of grass,
and it has that
there's the
the
umami
pininess, but
at
it
the
also has like a maltiness to it.
yeah. So I would say it's like a malty umami, which would be like almost a spring roll, right? I don't know if
Yeah.
you have an Asian spring roll, you get like this kind of like soy sauce
Yeah.
soap stuff with the doughiness.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of, like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, and it's a complex flavor. And you know what? I love that there's a complexity when it comes to this shit, because if it was so easy,
Yeah.
your channel wouldn't even exist, right? Because like
Yeah. I mean,
it's
in general, yeah.
everything is so different. There's a million combinations of flavors, at least, right? Like at least there's a million
And
combinations
the
of flavor at
crazy
the
thing
very
about
least.
it, Jammer fan, and I don't know if you remember, but I've said it time and time again, flavor is very subjective.
And that's what's
If
so great. That makes it almost 20 million because you have a million people that have a certain thing. And man, you've always been. And so, one of my craziest, like, every time I think of like a factory of people making beverages, when you told me the smell that comes out when they're making, like, orange or lemon lime or whatever, like you were telling me the smell sometimes that comes out of these, even shag that comes out of these places when you're there working, it's like I didn't know that. Like it's fucking crazy, dude. Like
yeah,
you're like in a, like, you know what I'm talking about?
yeah, yeah. I mean, in general, I mean, I can tell you right now, the smell of the beverage, it will come out when you're making it, and
Yeah,
sometimes people really enjoy it, and then other times they really hate the fuck out
yeah,
of it. They hate
Yeah.
smelling it. They hate even tasting it. They hate everything about it. But in
Yeah.
general, most people like the smell. Most people will like the flavor, and but the aroma. Let's face it, your nose knows more than what your flavor buds
Yeah.
really do. I mean, the nose
Yeah.
picks up a lot more intricacy, of the flavor
Yeah.
itself. So when you
Yeah.
actually taste it, if you haven't sniffed it and haven't really allowed your
Yeah.
nose to get a hold of the aroma, the fragrance,
It'll probably hit really hard quick. It'll be like, oh, it
yeah,
really smells like that. You
yeah.
won't. You're not like smell blind to it or
And
whatever.
then
Yeah.
on top of that, it's also when you've tasted it, what you were going through at the time. Were you at the beach? Were you at work? Were you at home? Were you
Yeah.
were
Damn.
traveling somewhere?
It's like
I mean,
so
it's
crazy
so
involved in that. Yeah.
subjective. It's so freaking subjective.
Yeah.
I mean, beer, anything you taste or eat, it always tastes better if, especially. Let me put it this way: if you're close to the ocean and you're on vacation and you're away from work, basically everything's going to taste and a hell of a lot better because of the fact that you're away from work. You're enjoying life in general. It's gonna present itself in a much different way unless you're going there while you're working. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
crazy. And when I say flavor is subjective, people don't realize what I'm talking about. And let's face it, if you're going through a positive experience in your life and you're having a great time at it and everything, and you drink a beer, that taste of that beer is going to be more intense to you. The taste
Yeah.
of the food is going to be more intense to you. You're going to remember it more than other times of your life.
Yeah.
I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. I've seen it happen to myself and I've seen it happen to other people. They also have acknowledged it and said, yes, it depends on what's going on also in your life when you taste it for the first time or you have it for the first time. Now, granted, if
Yeah.
you've had it before and you've had it time and time again and you have a reference to that flavor or that smell or whatever like that, then
Yeah.
it's going to mean something different to you then too in comparison to the people who've tried it for the
Well,
first time.
well, Jammer, I actually have a comment on that. Can I say a comment on flavor and like how and nostalgia?
Mm. Go ahead.
So, one of my strongest childhood memories, and this was probably in 1988 or 89, probably more 88, was me. I had a single dad at the time, and he was starting a software company in the late 80s, early 90s, and he was really busy. So he told me that we lived really close to the school. He's like, you have to walk to school in the morning, you have to walk home. And he would give me extra money because he knew there was an ice cream truck on the way back. And I used to always get lemon heads. Remember those lemon heads?
Yeah.
They had a certain, they had a certain, they hit a certain way. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like the little, like, you couldn't really crunch into them until you had to like suck on them for a while because like unless you have like the teeth of
That
a
and the atomic fireballs.
billionaire. No, I got those too. Absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely. And like my dad said, if you could walk home, like he told me if you could do a whole month of walking home from school without, we were like less than a mile from school, so it wasn't
Yeah.
like that bad of a walk, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He was like, I'll reward you, I'll give you candy, and I would always go for it. I would always be really fucking like, regimented because I wanted to get this candy, and
Yeah.
it as much as some people would be like, "Oh, that's child abuse," or like, not that I think that really would be, but
No,
like,
that's
"Oh,
not
that's
child
being too
abuse.
like."
That's kind of influencing your independence.
It kind of reminds me of like the original version of Americana,
Yeah.
of like just you do something to get something that you want, and like it's a good process. There's nothing bad. Like you do something that makes you feel good, and then you get rewarded. Like it's this crazy version of like what we wish that every society could be, or something. I don't know.
I mean, let's be honest. If you were doing something and it ended up with you having a negative experience, would you want to do it again?
Probably not. I mean, they've had an
Exactly.
experience, right?
Probably not. Yeah. So if there's something that actually give you a positive experience and you did it, and on top of that, you got candy, and on top of that, people actually acknowledge you for doing it.
So it's kind of like you're talking about the natural expression of what you're doing leading you to a natural choice, right? Like
Yeah.
there's a
Well,
there's
more
a
independence as
dominance. I get what you're
a
saying. Yeah,
yeah, more
there's
independence as
dominance
a
there.
child, more independence as a person. Yes, it helps the family out. Yes, it helps the person out that's supposed to pick you up and all that kind of stuff, drop you off per se.
Yeah,
But in reality, it kind of spurs that independent lifestyle, that independent spirit. I mean, when
yeah.
I was
I
in school, I did things that made money and that left and right because I had a captive audience. Think about it. I had a school audience. That means I can sell pencils, I can sell sheets of paper,
dude,
I can sell
I
candy.
did this. I did the same thing. Probably not to Europe as much as you did it, but I did the same thing. I actually had I had a little racket going on with the cookie scams where they would sell cookies, and they would have these like tiers you could hit where like, oh, sell this many cookies, and like,
Exactly.
I was, yeah, um I I was fucking with that shit. But I like that Jammer. What I like about you is that like we're somehow on the same level. I don't know how it is that we kind of like knew we had to like, we weren't going to be like assholes or like the fucking demons of society or anything, but we knew what we needed to do just to fucking like, to make ends meet, to do what we got to do. Like, fuck it, we're doing
Well,
what we
when
got to
I
do
was
because
a
we got to do
kid,
what we got to do.
my my dad turned around and told me, "Hey, if you want to do what you're doing, all that stuff, you want to turn around and do this or whatever like that. Okay, that's fine. I'll buy you this badge a minute because I presented it to him. I said, hey, this badge a minute thing, can you help me
Yeah,
pay for it? And at that time, it was 50 something dollars. That was a lot of money for a kid, 50 something dollars. Badge a minute. You know what that was? It was a way to make badges out of. I could cut. It gave you the equipment to cut. Uh, uh, Either cut people's faces or cut. Basically have sayings or logos or whatever it is, and make buttons out of it.
yeah,
So I had a button maker basically. That's basically what it was. And
yeah.
my dad paid $50 for it for me to be able to make buttons and sell it. Well, I would go around and
All
buy
right.
the magazines, the BET
Oh,
magazine. I would buy the rock magazines. I'd buy everything, and I would see how many faces I could cut out and all that stuff with the button, thing. And if I could cut out so
yeah.
many that would make it
Oh,
to where it was worth it, I would buy the magazine. I would turn around, make buttons, and sell it to the kids at school. I also had my dad
yeah.
also was a print shop manager for a company, so he turned around and printed up certain sayings and printed up certain things that I knew that
Yeah.
I could sell as buttons. So I turned around and would make buttons, and I was carrying around $200 or $300 every day the whole time I was going to school, and I was selling buttons. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the crazy part about it. It was the entrepreneurial spirit that I grabbed a hold of, and I turned around and made it to where I was making money from it. And somewhere along the line, when I became a graduate, I lost that spirit. And if I would have held on to it, I truly believe that I could have been retired by now. If I held on to
Um,
that spirit that I had when I was a kid, I could be retired by now. I wouldn't be doing anything in particular. I wouldn't be working in particular. I would actually be retired as a self-made multi-millionaire, and I wouldn't have
right.
been, but because I fell into the whole, oh, you got to go to school, oh, you got to get this degree,
Yeah.
oh, you got to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
I fell into that trap. I let that
Well,
entrepreneurial spirit go. And I ever since then I've been trying to grab a hold of it, have glimpses of it, and trying to
oh,
strive towards it. So
man,
what I
like,
say to people is that you don't have to go to school to be the smartest or the brightest or the most successful. You don't have to go to school for that. That is something that will, for the masses, in general, may help certain individuals, but in most respects, you're not ever going to
yeah.
do better than what that is.
Jammer, I will say that, oh man, the colloquialisms and like just general disposition of like what you said. You're like, I can't even replicate it. You went on this like, um, long exposition length like statement, but everything was beautiful. Like, dude, you have like I was just saying that was a fucking like master class in just like throwing it on the floor, you breaking it down, like, fuck yeah. And I like it. And it also can be related back to a lot of other things too. So uh I like it.
Well, I thank you. I don't know if it's all that, but I appreciate it either way.
No, I mean like I like it. Like you could just gone on like a regular tirade, but like just really amped it up, for better or for worse. For better.
uh,
My said.
Unfortunately, I think that most of the educational system is mostly out to get money, no matter what.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I recently saw something. I know Reddit's a very precarious type of thing that you could reference on these kind of things, but uh, the students coming in to where I guess it's 10th or 11th grade, you have 16 to 17-year olds coming in with like almost no reading comprehension. Like
Yeah,
they're just
that is
totally,
crazy, isn't it, Jammer fan? That's crazy. No reading.
yeah,
Bad enough that the whole fact is that reading and listening comprehension is at an all time low here in America.
yeah. And it's nuts. And it's like, well, what do you even? Some of the teachers are just quitting because they can't. The stress of like, well, what do I? How do I even like start? Like you're expecting me because those teachers get graded off. They get paid based off how many people are passing the tests, and
Yeah,
like so you have this feedback loop, and it's like, whoa. And a lot of it's because during COVID. So I get it. So honestly, here's what I don't get. As a kid, I figured out how to learn what I needed to learn. If you were to
yeah,
cut me off from every resource and every teacher, I still would have done it because I
yeah,
was like a crafty little kid that like figured it out. And I feel like the kids that today, like you take away all the safety nets and all the bumpers. You go bowling, you have the bumper fucking lanes. You take away all that shit, they just fucking collapse and they can't even function like without some
yeah,
fucking kind of cheat code or something like automatically entered in. And I'm like, well, that's not how like fucking like if you look at nature, how nature works, that's not how it works,
yeah.
you
Exactly.
know? So you're like, okay, this is gonna end bad because like, okay, these motherfuckers are just gonna die then because they're just,
Yeah.
like I mean, how do you feel? Sorry, man. Like I'm just like I'm gent.
Yeah,
I've
I'm
been
right
like
there
coming
with you.
close to the.
I'm right there with you. I believe the same thing you're saying. I mean, I'm right there. Yeah, I agree with you that they don't realize exactly what is going on, and then when it's all said and done, it's like a complete waste because you would have been this or that. I'm sorry, I lost it.
No, we should talk about beer, dude. Here, that's the thing. We go back to beer. You were
Yeah,
beautifully like. Did you drink? Did you drink that whole beer? Is that beer gone?
yeah.
No, there's nothing left in the can.
No, no, nothing, nothing can. I gotta get another beer.
Yeah. Let's just keep it on the same vid, dude. Like, what other beer do you got? I have another beer I can get you. What beer do you got?
I got another beer I could do. I mean, if you want to do another drink and a thing, we can do it. I mean, let's go ahead and end this one and start a new one.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Let's do
All
it.
right. All right. Thanks for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing, and sharing. I'm Jammer.
Jammer fan, being
Yeah.
here, the grace of God.
Okay. Let's go ahead and close this out. We'll see you on the next one. We'll be right back in
Woo.
just a few minutes. Right
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling, man.